We're here now with the attorney that everyone just spoke about in the Savior. No, let me quit that. This is Myra McIntosh, and as you saw in the previous video, we did the one about
family violence.
Family violence, and that's the part that gets you into the criminal system. And now we came here, and first of all, thank you for inviting us out.
Well,
now we about to put this out there, and all these young folks who he just served, who need your help. Not everyone can inundate and get you. But quickly, just from what you had brought to the panel, what words of wisdom would you give a young man? And I know Sarita will interview you next. I saved some questions. But what word of wisdom are the young men and women that you tell them about the lesson learned today about the mass incarceration, the new Jim Crow, and how they have been, I'm gonna use the word suckered into it, and what they can do to avoid it?
First of all, I'll just go back to the old adage, which is so true. Education is the key to success. And if you're being miseducated and undereducated for a reason, because you are human capital, to say the least.
Wow.
You are used by corporations, by the criminal justice system, and everyone that's involved to make money off of. You are being targeted. So how do you avoid that? By getting an education. Don't let anyone deprive you of that. And the way they do that is miseducate you. They start telling you that you have behavior problems. They'll put you in the criminal justice system. They'll regulate you to special education classes, and then they'll tell you that you need medication. And it has been shown that the same medication that they give to students or children is in the same classification as crack and cocaine as far as the addiction level.
Wow.
And so it's pretty much you are being used.
Guinea pigs. Kind of like, what was that back in the 60s, 70s when they used all those African American, they injected with, what was it, herpes?
Right. Syphilis.
Syphilis. So really, basically what they've done, and I saw a poster where it had a young kid in elementary, they says either educate now or we have a place for you later.
Right.
You know, but they had allured to you putting together an organization or orchestrating an organization. We'd love to help you with that, to help the young people who, I'm just going to say a lack of word, who need to get that education on what should I do if I get falsely stopped criminal-wise, and what if I do if I lose my job on the family side? So that's a two-headed dragon that's easy pulling both the fathers and the mothers into it. So with that, they said a pro bono program that's coming up. Well, it's not there yet. What can they do for you, your organization, to get any type of help or education between now and the time that organization is up and running?
Right. The first thing I want to tell you as an attorney is on the side of the road is nowhere to litigate whether or not the officer had grounds to pull you over. So take the ticket, save your life as it comes down to it these days, and finding a good attorney to zealously advocate for you in the court system. Secondly, the Justice League, what I was primarily recruited for, among other things, is to handle some of the legal issues. And one issue that plagues people who have been part of the mass incarceration or criminal justice system is expunctions or having a felony record. And so my sole purpose, or one of my primary purposes, is to help people who have been labeled as felons and who have been stigmatized and isolated from the employment community, to help them integrate back into society by, one, getting their records expunged, or as we say sometimes, depending, because there's a difference between expungement and petition for non-disclosure. Expungement is had when you're either your case has been dismissed, or you've been given a pardon by the governor, or you have went to trial and you have been found not guilty or acquitted. A petition for non-disclosure is had when that person is placed on deferred adjudication, not straight probation, deferred adjudication, and they successfully complete that deferred adjudication. And that is not for all crimes, but the vast majority of crimes you can apply for a petition for non-disclosure. The caveat is that most of these expunctions and petition for non-disclosures cost. There's a court cost to them. They can be expensive. So for a person that can't afford, that's just trying to make it day by day, it can be an obstacle to overcome. That's why at the Justice League, we're trying to help you overcome that obstacle by giving you a pro rate of expunctions and petition for non-disclosures.
Right. And that doesn't mean you want to go out and neglect, getting a job or whatever you can do, but it's a tool of assisting, not a freebie.
Right.
But the main thing is, if you're someone that's in that, then great idea to talk about it. Real quickly, in Money to the Left, what can they do to avoid it? We talk about not when you do get stopped by the cop, don't get an attitude. But now if you're a mother and a father, and I'm gonna bring it back to child support, when they're fighting over the visitation exchange, when they're making false police reports, they're feeding into this mass incarceration over what I'm gonna call it drama.
Right.
Deadbeat dad syndrome, baby mama's drama syndrome is another tool the system created to label us, to suck us into that. So with that, young lady, young man, here's an attorney, not me, telling you some good advice.
Well, more importantly, I just think that a child needs both parents. God created a man and a woman to have a child because there is something that each person brings to the table for a child. And I just think that people have to take into consideration when you start calling the police for on each other, whether that's the mother or the father, you're putting them in a category to be stigmatized or to be targeted by the police. It's good if you can to resolve these issues and realize family counseling is the best.
Right.
If you can to help resolve these issues, don't be so quick to get the criminal justice system involved because it is a money-making machine. And once you get the criminal justice involved, I tell people it's easy to get in, it's difficult to get out, and that's what mass incarceration is all about, the labeling of people, especially felons, to put you in a box where you can't get a job, where you can't vote, where you have housing discrimination, where you have food stamp discrimination, anything that it takes you to survive, they're putting you in a box and say, okay, go out and fight.
Right. And I definitely want to make sure you and I get together and continue these educational broadcasts, because some people may not can make all the events, but they're on Facebook. Click on the link and we can continue to share spread the message that the Justice League is here now.
We're here.
And the resources are here now, and then they have a vehicle or an avenue by way of Dad's Father's Network that they can find you guys.
Correct.
Because, I mean, all this wisdom among us, and that's literally thousands and thousands of people in the Dallas area alone that don't know it exists. So we're going to definitely do that with you. Well, again, I appreciate you taking time with me.
Thank you so much.
And you're looking at Dad's Father's TV Network.